Why 100 miles? People ask me this all the time. Do you do it all in one push? Do you sleep during it? Why would any human being want to run 100 miles? And I get it. I'll be honest, I struggle with the answer sometimes. It's something that's become somewhat normalized in our little fringe, crazy circle. But even still, the idea of traveling that far on foot can feel overwhelming. I can tell you one thing for certain though. It's a crazy, wild journey.
Why 100 miles?
It's a really great question.
I think over the last 20 years, I've figured out why I like to run long distances and challenge myself in the mountains, and specifically the 100-mile distance.
I often ask myself in the middle of the race, why do I do this? Why do I sign up for something that I know it's going to be so extreme or uncomfortable that I'm going to go through pretty low lows?
It's a real test of the human will and the human spirit, and it just kind of really takes you to places that a lot of other things won't take you.
I think it's in our nature to be curious creatures. And certainly the determined among the bunch will constantly seek the next thing. And for me personally, I wanted my next challenge to be the Leadville 100 in Colorado.
The town of Leadville sits at 10,200 feet. It's a mining town. They're very proud of their mining heritage. Kind of went bust in the mid-'80s, I think, or right around the early '80s. So the 100 was developed as a way to bring economy to the area. It's a small town, and all the remnants of mining history are everywhere. It still has the rough edges to it, for sure.
So you teach that to your family. So what we're doing, you got the how, you got the why. One thing you got to do is get across the finish line. You're going to believe in you, believe in us, believe what we told you, better things you are to do, more things you can. You're going to commit, then I'd like you to stand and tell us, I commit, I won't quit. Would you please? I commit.
See, I chose the Leadville 100 because I wanted the challenge. And in some strange way, I think the uncertainty of the unknown. I worked for months with a coach, got my nutrition dialed in, and enlisted the help of my two really good friends to both crew and pace me.
So you're starting with that. I'm starting with these two. Will be
I felt ready. But I also know that during the course of a 100-mile race, anything and everything can and will happen. Anxiety, nerves, excitement. It's one of those things in life where the outcome is far from a given. There's a long list of things that can potentially go wrong. How will my body respond to running at altitude? Will my stomach rebel? Will I cramp? Will I fail? It's a beautiful morning here in Leadville, Colorado, 10,200 feet. Things I'm going to be thinking about. I think gratitude is a really powerful emotion, and I don't take for granted that We have the ability to do this, and while we still can, while I still can, I'm gonna think about all the people who can't. I'm just gonna be doing my best to stay present, feel good for as long as I can, and then really push through when things get tough. So, yeah, it's the unknown's always scary, but if things were handed to us, we knew the outcome of everything, life wouldn't be nearly as interesting. See, there was a time when we didn't know where our next meal would come from. Water couldn't just be purchased in bottles when we pleased. I wonder sometimes just how far removed we become from who we once were. You know, the nomads, hunter-gatherers, bodies and will hardened by constant movement, driven by the simple need to survive. How far we've softened. And yet here I was surrounded by almost 700 like-minded people from my tribe, intentionally about to march forward into the mountains this dark morning, seeking something through the discomfort, the unknown. Well, what exactly are we seeking?
Hurting real bad, you dig deep. Remember, you made your promise yesterday. You said, I commit, I won't quit. We'll see you at the finish line, family. We love you. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
In the early miles, you're holding back so much because you know how far you have left to go. And at the same time, you're trying not to get consumed by the enormity of the task at hand. It's 100 miles. So you really do your best to try to focus on each breath, each step, and simply focus on running from aid station to aid station.
Over 3 hours. Kind of worried about my legs right now. A lot of runnable terrain. I'm gonna back off just a little bit more. That's 100 miles. Okay.
The Leadville 100, I think the first running was in 1983, making it the second oldest 100 in the United States behind Western States. That alone, I think, should afford it forever classic status. It's a high altitude race. You start at 10,000 feet in the town of Leadville and run 50 miles out to an old mining town, Winfield, and then turn around and run back and Almost the entire race is above 10,000 feet, and that's another element of challenge. It was the first race like that to be at high altitude for that long of a period of time.
The human body, I think it was designed to move, to hunt, to flee, to really be pushed and tested. But somewhere along the way, comfort became the key to happiness, right? You know, big fancy homes, luxury cars with heated seats. And yet these things, these material things, never really seem to make us happy. And in the process, we've softened both mentally and physically. When do we lose our way? I often wonder, is there something in our DNA that strangely finds comfort through discomfort?
First, ginger beer or pickles? Water.
Let me get a couple more of those too when you guys are done.
So Billy, but let's, even if it seems runnable as you're climbing, like mix it up. You like the marshmallow?
Yeah.
Good. We got 3. That's good.
All right. Thanks for everything. I'll see you at Twin Lakes.
All right, Billy. Stay strong, buddy.
All right.
All right, I'm about at the 50K point, about 6.5 hours. In a bit of a low spot. Legs are fried. Oh. Let's turn this around. Legs already feel like they've run 80 or 90 miles. Oh. Cramp twinges and quads are just hammered. This is gonna be a grind.
Everything in a 100-mile race builds to this moment. When you're stripped raw and think you're done, like that's when the race really begins. That's when you find out what you're really made of.
I'm beginning my first ascent to Hope Pass.
The climb up to Hope Pass, the highest point of the race at 12,600 feet, was absolutely brutal. I got passed by a handful of people, and just when I thought I reached my lowest moment, true to the Colorado mountain spirit, the winds kicked in and the weather moved in.
It's hailing here. Hope Pass. I forgot my jacket. I need to move.
Thank you. Right there should be good.
Just like that, it's sunny and nice atop Hope Pass.
You know, coming down the mountain for a few moments, all was okay. The sun was shining again. The views were unbelievable. And I ran into a handful of friends.
Look at this place, Billy. Yeah. How can you complain?
I actually enjoyed running down Hope.
And I've only cried once, only because I hit my head on a rock.
Come on, dude. How is it?
But once I reached the bottom, the legs frustratingly started rebelling again.
God, I can't run. Can't climb.
Yeah, so we're at Winfield right now. It's mile 50. We're waiting for Billy to come in. He'll be coming down from Hope Pass. We saw him at Twin Lakes last. Probably took a little bit more time there at that aid station than the earlier ones. But he seems to be having fun out here and suffering a little bit, which is what it's all about.
Sorry, guys.
Hey, kidding me? I'm so proud of you. Cutting it out.
Good job, guys.
Supposed to hurt, right? Yeah.
Nice work, Billy.
It's a beast of a time you just...
It's not even my quads, it's like everything. My calf, my hamstring, my quads.
Soup would be good right now.
Yeah, I got soup.
Give me 60 seconds to like feel sorry for myself.
That's it.
The question of why consumed my entire being in that moment. Why? Why are you doing this? Just stop here and the suffering ends right now.
You've got this. I promise you've got it. You're thinking way
I
too
can't hike, I can't run. Like I'm tripping over rocks when I'm trying to run. It's like my legs just aren't.
Yeah, they're tired.
Everybody comes in feeling the exact same way that you feel.
Physically, mentally, I was on the verge of wanting to quit. In that moment, it all seemed so impossible. Can we lay down again and like roll the back of my legs?
Yeah.
Here you go.
Okay, got it right.
That's good.
I was going to tell you to get up. Like that, like, you know you're back. I can carry whatever, too.
I gotta get some calories in. I haven't eaten anything in like the last hour.
Yeah, let's try that.
This is rough.
Need anything, buddy?
Just new legs.
Just new legs? I hear ya.
All right, poles, get out of here.
Yeah,
let's go. Have fun.
Get out there, buddy.
Good job, brother.
I'm glad Colin's with him right now. Yeah, Colin's gonna get him over that. Yeah, I think if he was gonna drop it, he would have dropped now. There's no way he's gonna drop it. So, I know he's a little disappointed. I know he had some expectations, but right now it's just the finish. That should be the goal. He's a tough dude. He's gonna get it.
For the moment, and with each agonizing step, I told myself, just get to the top of the pass. Just get to the top. Mentally and physically, getting to the top was one of the toughest things I've ever had to do. And the climb nearly broke me. So I can't tell you the satisfaction I felt when I finally reached the top. I purged and wept tears of relief. It was time to get back to Leadville.
Yeah, I mean, the low points in a 100-mile race, I guess I try and remind myself that this is the reason that I signed up for this event, was to be challenged, to get to a point where where it's not easy anymore, where I don't feel like I'm going to be able to finish maybe, but then find something internal that you're able to overcome a challenge, and remind myself that if I do that, it's going to be a whole lot more rewarding than if I just quit.
During the course of 100 miles, you go through so many swings and emotions, so many highs and lows. One minute you're contemplating quitting. Next thing you know, you're grinding back up the mountain and running down the other side with renewed vigor and enthusiasm, with the singular focus of getting to that finish line. I've quite often likened my running to trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. I'm not built like a Kenyan. Running hasn't exactly come easy or natural to me. But I am super passionate about the mountains, and that's always inspired me to push myself against it and test myself against it. And in particular, when I've overcome the low moments is when I've gained the most satisfaction out of it.
Twin Lakes inbound. That means 40 more miles. Only 40 more miles. So they got all the stuff there. Dude, crushed it. You guys, he's back. Oh God.
It's not just that 100-mile race. It's just not just one race. It's a journey that you take. It's a commitment that it usually takes a village. It's not just you, but people in your life. And you're just a small piece in this big puzzle. And it really comes together why we put ourselves up to a challenge and why we work towards something. You're not really sure if you're going to achieve it that day. But when you do, it's just extremely worth it.
For the first time all day, or at least since mile 50, I feel like I'm actually gonna really finish this thing. Leave it to my core.
You can certainly go at it alone, but I really believe that life is best when it's shared. Having my friends along for the journey is what truly makes the 100-mile race special. When we're all older and no longer able to do this, I picture us sitting around sharing these stories with each other, laughing and chuckling. When it's your time, is the goal to leave a well-preserved body Or do you really want to use it? A body with stories that says you've pushed it, and at times suffered, and you sought its potential. I can't speak for everyone's reasons for doing this. I'm sure we're all motivated and inspired by different things. But what makes it special is that whatever the reason, on this day and on this night, we're all linked together and unified by this one thing, this one journey. That's a special bond.
Mile 80, the infamous power line climb, is our last big climb of the day. Dude, it's crushing.
Dude, you almost ran off the whole thing down. Dude, down to straight. Yeah, I know.
Okay, I'm going back to the...
Alright, I'm right there. Want me to grab anything else again?
No, I'm good.
And then I just need stuff like...
Oh!
Yeah, we don't... Crushing it, Bill.
Nice job. Get by with a little help of my friends, man. This is a 100-mile secret. Disposable toothbrush.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Oh, yeah.
If you would have just ran it in 15 hours, though, you wouldn't need that.
I like that you had them over each other. I had hurt. Dude, fellas, you have to finish. Love you.
Love you too, buddy.
Yeah, Billy.
We didn't check out or anything?
Nope, you're good.
Good?
Straight through.
Alright.
Drawing bags or anything?
No, thank you.
Just enjoying the final miles of the Leadville 100 with my boy, awesome pacer, David Daly. Great work, buddy. Teamwork.
In the end, I guess we all have our 100 different reasons for doing this. But running 100 miles doesn't have to be your journey. Although I think we can agree that we can all benefit by stepping outside from what's familiar and comfortable just a bit. For me, the finish line, one of my favorite places in the world, gives you a little peek into the satisfaction of doing so. Now, perhaps running 100 miles just connects us a little closer to who we once were in the past. But how we spend our future obviously is entirely up to us. Each mile, each step, a new page written. What do you want the remaining chapters of your life to be about?